Shadow, I go carry your matter for head, yo. I go there by your side. Thank you for joining me on the Intentional Parenting Chat. I want to start by apologizing. The Intentional Parenting Chat comes every Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays by 9 p.m. I was out with my family and we just got in now. So I apologize for not coming on time and not informing you beforehand that the show was going to be delayed. Thank you for accepting my apology. I remain dinmaan, the co-author of the ABC of Intentional Parenting, which is a parent's guide on how to love, lead, and influence their children with ease. And this is the Intentional Parenting Chat, and you are welcome. Do you know that your child could call you bluff and yet not be found guilty? Yes, exactly. The last time we were on the show, we talked about inconsistency and how some of the behaviors that our children are exhibiting could be as a result of our inconsistency. When as parents there is no congruence between our words and actions, we kind of confuse our children, and then they are not of the behavior that we keep telling them because they don't see us living that behavior. And so tonight we want to look at why your child could call you bluff and not be found guilty for it. All right, and in the ABC of Intentional Parenting, we actually broke down parenting and represented it with every letter of the alphabet. And so letter N in the ABC of Intentional Parenting says, never make a threat you have no intention of fulfilling. Never make a threat you have no intention of fulfilling, or else your child could call you bluff. Sometimes we make threats on our children that we don't fulfill, and over time, when it becomes a pattern, when we do it consistently, our children just know that Daddy is just saying that he will not do anything. Oh, mommy is just talking her own, she will not do anything. And so the child can begin to see that you're just talking. You are all talk and no action, and you are not going to carry out your threat. So even if you continue issuing the threats in the future, the child is not going to bulge. The child will just call you bluff because the child has been used to your inconsistency. The child has been used to you reeling out threats without carrying anyone out. And so for me, there was a time when in my parenting journey, that when my children would do something, I'll just go like, if I slap you, I mean, if I say it in Igbo language, it will carry the weight. That's Mayola. And I say it with all of my strength. I say it with everything in me. And my mother would jokingly say, if you slap this child with the strength of those your words, that child is going to faint. And you know what? Even after shouting, I will slap you, I end up not doing anything. And with time, my children just go, mommy will just say she will slap you and she will not do anything. So if you have no intention of carrying out your threat, please do not issue the threat, because with the inconsistency, the children recognize the pattern of inconsistency and they will begin to call your threats bluff. They'll continue in their behavior even if you threaten brimstone and fire, because they have lived with you and you have exhibited this inconsistency for long. So never issue a threat to your child that you have no intention of fulfilling. And so one day I was speaking with a parent, a colleague of mine in the parenting sphere, and he had issued a threat that he was going to flog his son. And so when we were talking, he carried out the threat. He actually flogged the son. And so when we were discussing, I brought it up with him and I said, we've been talking about intentional parenting, and we've been looking at how else we can parent our children better without having to flog them, without having to beat them. And you have been a part of this campaign with us. So why did you flog your child? And he looked at me and, reiterated what the letter N in the ABC of Intentional Parenting stands for, which is never issue a threat that you have no intention of carrying out. And he said to me, I'd already threatened them that I was going to beat him. And so if I didn't beat him, he would call me bluff. If I didn't beat him, he will carry on with it, and as usual, it will be that daddy keeps making threats that he doesn't carry out. So that is what we're learning today, that our children, the way their brains function, the way they they are wired, the way that they're growing, if you keep on issuing threats and you don't carry it out, the children become used to this inconsistent pattern, and so your threats will hold no water anymore. When we were growing up, we also learned about children who, because their parents flog them consistently, they become hardened, and the flogging didn't make any sense. So have you been a parent who has been shouting, I will slap you, I will beat you, and you do that, and after that you do not do anything? Maybe your child is calling you bluff. Maybe the child is doing you for you at your back. This is not to endorse bad behavior. This is not to endorse rudeness, but this is to enable us know how people are engineered and how people are formed. So if you have been issuing threats to your child and you've not been carrying out the threats, it's high time you stop issuing threats. And so a parent could be asking, so what do I do? When I issue this threat, it's actually coming from a place of good intention. It's actually because I want to scare him away from the bad behavior. I want him to, like, on his own, accept to do good behavior. Maybe the threat will make him, change his behavior. Instead of issuing threats, you need to do something differently. When your children are exhibiting behaviors that you do not like, it's either there are two types of let's just look at behavior in 4 different categories. Okay, we have desired behavior, we have undesired behavior, we have expected behavior, and we have unexpected behavior. So these are the different categories of behavior that your children may exhibit. Desired behavior that you reinforce by encouragement, by gifts and all that. Undesired behavior that you have to do, you map out a behavior modification strategy that works in line with your child's unique vitals. If you have been a listener on the Intentional Parenting Chat, we talk about knowing our children's vitals a lot, because one thing is to have knowledge of the subject matter of the kind of behavior that your child is exhibiting that you've been trying to correct with threats. Another thing is to understand your child's unique influence vitals that will guide the kind of strategies that you will form for the child. Unique influence vitals, quickly I'll just mention some of them. Your child's personality, how your child wants to be loved, your child's preferred learning style, your child's multiple intelligences, and the best modification modalities that you can design for that child. So with that in mind, you will now design a behavior modification for your child for that undesired behavior. And let me quickly distinguish between expected and unexpected behavior. Sometimes we met out punishment, we issue out threats to our children for even expected behavior. If a child of 2 spills water on the table, it is an expected behavior for that age. A child of 2 is not expected to be so organized, prim and proper. I'd like to take you back to your childhood. When you were 2, how organized were you? Okay, I've had a case. I went to school, I was looking through my son's books when he was about 3, and one of the report they wrote is that he's restless. I said that is not an undesirable behavior. That is an expected behavior for a child of his age that has his kind of temperament. So we need to be able to distinguish the kind of behavior our children are exhibiting and the kind of behavior modification that we'll give them. When we come next on the Intentional Parenting Chat, I will be dwelling more on how to modify behavior for your children such that you are not tempted to always issue threats. Because research has shown that when you keep on threatening your children without carrying out your threats, your children no longer take you serious because they have come to understand this inconsistent pattern, and then that child may call you bluff. That is it on the Intentional Parenting Chat tonight. I'd like to hear your questions. I'd like to hear your comments. And if you have any comments or contributions you want to make on the topic of tonight, please, you're free to make it. Remember, letter N in the ABC of Intentional Parenting says, never issue a threat you have no intention of carrying out, or else your child will call you bluff, because the child will understand your inconsistent pattern and will no longer take you serious. And if you have to learn to distinguish between desired, undesired, expected, and unexpected behavior for your children, and to know that instead of issuing threats, if you want to modify an undesired behavior, if you want to modify an unexpected behavior, you have to do certain things. And what are those things you need to do? That will be our topic for discussion on Monday on the Intentional Parenting Chat. So if you're a parent and you want to learn how to love, lead, and influence your child with ease without losing your sanity, please join me again on Monday by 8 p.m. on the Intentional Parenting Chat. Let's talk about how to modify behavior and get our children behaving rightly without having to issue threats. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you a lovely weekend. I remain Dinmaan will be your host on the Intentional Parenting Chat. I look forward to your questions and comments. And please remember, wholesome children are not raised by chance. They are raised intentionally. Keep being an incredible parent and loving, leading, and influencing your children with ease. Thank you.